Look, this team has done made me turn the camera on. Like, as you all know, or I've said before, sometimes I don't make videos just because of the simple fact that it's saying the same thing over and over and over again. And it's to the point where I'm honestly thinking about new ventures, like trying something else. And this channel wouldn't go away. I would still upload on here. And I do want to upload more often. It's just I'm tired of talking about the same exact thing over and over again. But today I felt like I had to turn on the camera, especially after what happened last night when we lost to the Brooklyn Nets. I was trying to say it on Twitter, but some people were getting confused. A lot of people know what I mean, but a lot of people were also being confused by what I was trying to say. So I felt like trying to type it all out on Twitter just wasn't enough. It would have been better off just saying it in a video. So the question would be, is Charles Lee the right man for the job? And honestly, you cannot make that decision after 15 games. You can't. You can be skeptical and say, like, I don't think he will be. Or you can be optimistic and say, I think he will be. But right now, you can't tell either way. That's just the reality of it. You can't tell. You can have an inkling. You can be like, I don't see it. You can say, I see it, like, but you just don't know for sure after 15, 14 games. That's just the reality of it. There's been some things I have not been happy with that he's done. A lot of his rotations, the offense at times, actually a lot of times it's been LaMelo kind of bailing us out, or Miles, you know, now that he kind of found a little bit of a groove. It's just been Trey Mann as well. How you can't forget Trey Mann. The Cody Martin game, like, it's just been individual performances and not really a team performance. A bunch of individuals together would have a good performance at one time, but it would never just feel like a true team win. And that's just the style of his offense, which I don't know. I mean, you see it a little bit with the Celtics, but it's still not. It's not to that degree. And I only compare it to the Celtics because you could tell that's the team he's imitating rather. But the biggest thing for me is you do not, and I don't care what anybody says, you do not bench your franchise player in a game like this. That's really all I was trying to say. If this was a game if this was the Cavs game, we'll just say that was Sunday, and we're recording this video Wednesday. That was Sunday. If the Cavs game was kind of like this, where it was late, LaMelo wasn't really hitting, it's a team that was undefeated. We really weren't supposed to beat them, but somehow we were maybe a little bit in the game. But let's not sugarcoat it. LaMelo played terrible yesterday. He played terrible last night. Bad shots, bad fouls. And he takes a lot of shots where, like, oh, that's a bad shot, but he makes it. And he just wasn't making it. Fine, I get that. And Trey Mann was making the shots. Completely understand. But if it was a game against the Cavs, a game we're not supposed to win, but we're slightly in it, and Trey Mann's the reason, and this, that, and the other, or going with the hot hand doesn't necessarily have to be Trey Mann. I don't want to really use Trey Mann like that, because I feel as though he could. I'm not saying people are blaming him, but you just don't want, like, it's in a negative connotation. Like, he had an excellent game last night. I don't want that to be seen as, oh, LaMelo got benched for Trey Mann. It's like, no, Trey Mann had an excellent game. Like, I understand why Charles Lee thought that going with Trey Mann could be the right idea. But if it was against the Cavs, that's a game, okay, fine. You want to make a point, bench him. You know what I mean? Like, if we lose that game, we lose that game. It's not like we were really supposed to win it anyway. Or if we were a tanking team. If we were tanking, and really just throwing guys out there, trying to see what we have, and then evaluate going forward, that's also a move. I probably wouldn't have a word to say, because that move last night was a move a tanking team makes, or a team that's not trying to win makes, because I can't even find the words. Up to the last possession, I honestly didn't have a problem with LaMelo not being out there. Those guys were getting it done offensively. They took the lead for a little bit. They lost it, but they took the lead for a little bit, and they held their own. And I wouldn't have made this video. I still would have been scratching my head a little bit, because, like, okay, LaMelo could have had a little more time, but I get he's trying to establish culture, but just last night just was not the game. Like I said, those guys that were on the court, I think it was Trey Mann, Brandon Miller, Cody Martin, Miles Bridges, and Grant. Did I say? Yeah, I don't know. And Grant Williams. That was the five. And for the most part, I think they did a pretty good job. Obviously, they ultimately didn't come up with the win, and there were some fouls and and some just like shots by Watford, Trenton Watford that normally don't go in and that went in, and even though he was being guarded well. But I'm specifically talking about the last possession. That last possession, you need a 3. You have no timeouts, and it's like 5 seconds on the clock, I believe. You have, once again, Cody Martin, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Trey Mann, Grant Williams. You don't need Cody Martin out there for an offensive possession where you need a 3. Yes, his 3-point percentage has been higher than normal. I think he's close to 40. I don't know after last night's game, but before last night's game, he was close to shooting 40% from 3. But we all know that's not reliable. In a game where you blow a 17-point lead, I feel like that's what a lot of people are saying. It's like, oh, you're overreacting. It's not about losing. Y'all know on this channel, I said, we may suck. And a lot of people, I'm not saying, lashed out at me, but a lot of people, defended the team. And I get it. Like, you want the team to be good. But I didn't see this team being a straight-up playoff team. Not yet. And then they surprised me. I was like, oh, we might can do it. Then we do stuff like this. And the Nets game isn't just the only game. Like, you have to think about the Wolves game where we were outclassed, but it's just like we didn't even show up. And then I really think about the Sixers game where that was a game we should have won and then we just let them beat us. And all I'm trying to say is that just it just doesn't make any sense. Like, for us to be losing in this way. Losing is fine. I'm okay with losing this season. I did not expect this. You know this. I did not expect this team to be good. I expected us to be above this. If we want to transcend to the next level, these are games you got to win. Blowing the 17-point lead, yes, a lot of that is on the players because we saw they were going under screens. They were just letting guys hit open shots. They really weren't even contesting Jalen Wilson, who he hasn't been shooting like incredibly lights out this season, but he shot lights out last night, and he wasn't a bad 3-point shooter in college. So it's like they were just letting people shoot. Dorian Finney-Smith, he's been shooting great this season, but like that's a guy where if you put pressure on, it's not like he's just some elite 3-point shooter. But they weren't putting pressure on these guys. Cam Johnson is different. 34 points, yes, it's a little excessive, but Cam Johnson is a shooter. That's what he does. So you can make him close out. And a lot of people think he's like a standstill catch and shoot. No, Cam Johnson can fade. He can flip. He can do all this kind and still make the shot. That's the type of shooter Cam Johnson is. But those other guys, there's no reason for Cam Thomas to be missing and Nicholas Claxton to be missing, and we do not win this game. That is why I have a problem with the benching of LaMelo Ball, is because that is a game we need to win. You can make the statement later. You can make the statement against the Cavs. You can make the statement. Hell, you could have made the statement against the Bucks. Like, if you had an issue with something he's done. You really could have. You truly could have. You could have made that statement against the Bucks. Game that, yes, we were in it, but like it's these games against Nets, Wizards, Hawks, even. I'm trying to think of everybody. That specific game against the Sixers, like those we got to win, and even it just doesn't make any sense. If you want to, I think winning a game like that will do more for the team than benching LaMelo Ball in that particular moment. Like I said, I didn't really truly have a problem with him not playing that whole fourth quarter, or not the whole fourth quarter, but that like last few minutes of the fourth quarter. I would have liked to see him, get in there a little bit, just because we know. I always said LaMelo is a fantastic scorer, obviously one of the best in the league. He's shown it, but he's a threat on the floor. You don't know where he's gonna pull up from. He can play make. He's getting a lot more penetration at the rim. That opens it up for other guys. And so for him to not be in the game and we lose the game in the fashion we do, it's just like you at least got to give us a shot. And then not even to disrespect on the floor, they didn't even get a chance to even put the ball up for real. Like you bench LaMelo, okay, respect. Like if you have the balls to do it, then fine, whatever. But at least give us a reason to believe you that is the right decision. And he did it. That Charles Lee has had an issue with out of bounds plays or dead balls in general. Same thing. All season long. We have not been able to get good shots. Now, he did call a couple in this game. that resulted, I think, in Grant Williams layup and a couple, I think, a Trey Mann shot here or there. But overall, this season, he has not been that great of getting out of bounds plays. And yet, like I said, no LaMelo. I really, and it's not even no diss to Cody Martin, but if I need a 3 to tie the game and send it into overtime, Cody Martin is not going to be out there for me. Not the type of three-point shooter he is. He's shooting at a higher clip this year. Congrats to him, because that was something that I was like, if this team wants to be good, he's got to hit. Now, he's hitting at a rate I didn't even think he would hit. But still, in this moment, you're more than likely going to need a crazy shot. LaMelo has done that. He did it against the Sixers. So it's like, that is where I don't get it. You had plenty of time to bench him. I think even benching him up until that point would have made a point. But benching him to the fact where we lose the game, that's where it becomes unacceptable. Now, you could have said with him we would have lost the game, and that's fine. But I'd rather have a chance. And he didn't even give those guys a chance. Like I said, I think that lineup did pretty well. I think the only reason they were unable to close out that game is just because the Nets were making some lucky shots, like in that particular run. Now there were some other things, like once again blowing a 17-point lead. That's okay. That's like the big thing. But then like they were just leaving guys open, like I said, and hitting crazy shots. Bad fouls are being called, bad takes are being called, so on and so forth. But up in those last few minutes, I think they did a pretty good job. It was just the crazy shots that the Nets were hitting, which is like, okay, you tip your hat. But then, like I said, LaMelo Ball is not out there. And you can barely even get the ball in. And to where Brandon Miller has to take like a crazy shot to, I don't know if he grazed the rim or he airballed. Either way, Grant gets in, puts it up a 2, and obviously there's ultimately no time left. That is just so unacceptable. That is the problem. And the reason I'm not skeptic about the future, because I think a lot of people take what I'm saying as this team will never be anything. All I am saying is, we've been losing the same way for years. I have no faith that it will be any different. They haven't given me any faith that it will be different. Like, that is where my issues come to play. Is that I expected, at least at this point, we would be losing in different ways. But we are giving games away. We are literally giving games away at this point. And that's my issue. I'm not saying I'm out on Charles Lee as a coach. It is 14 games. But we can admit that was a bonehead decision. There's no reason for that to happen. I don't care if he was 1 for 100. Like, how many times have we seen in games that guy was 1 for 9 until he hit? That happens against us all the time. So it's like, why not have your best offensive lineup on an offensive possession? Because I get it, the defense thing. But I'm looking, like I said, I'm looking at Cody Martin. Grant Williams has been hitting shots well. Grant Williams also offers just a bunch of, like a lot of versatility. He allows his physicality with screens if they wanted to utilize that to get somebody open. I get why he was out there. Miles Bridges had a good game. Brandon Miller had an excellent game, which he's been in a slump. Trey Mann also, like I said, had an excellent game. Cody Martin was an odd man out. And it wasn't because he's not a good player or he didn't have a good game. It was just, for that particular lineup, I need a 3, no timeout. Who gives me the best shot? LaMelo Ball, out of everybody, because everybody else is in, outside of Grant Williams, can create for themselves or really like just hit moving shot. Like, you never know what's going to happen on that possession. Like, for Cody Martin, it needs to be a stand. Not saying he's never hit a moving shot, but it needs to be a standstill. He's wide open. Your offense, your out of bounds play did not get that. So in a position like that where they just have to throw the ball in, I would have rather had LaMelo. That's all I'm saying. He could have missed the shot. Brandon Miller could, I'm not mad at Brandon Miller for missing the shot. But we couldn't even get the ball in. So when chaos is occurring, that's where you're just like, you know what? Give it to one of the most statistically, and just even with my eyes, one of the most clutch players in the fourth quarter this season. Just give it to him and let's see what he can do. If he misses, he misses. But at least give you the chance. It seemed as though that play only had one option, and I really couldn't tell. I need to go back and look. But once that option was open, we're just going to launch it on the other side of the court to Brandon Miller, who, I don't remember who was playing defense on him, but they played incredible defense to not really let him get up a shot. Not a viable shot at least. But yeah, that's just my issue. I'm not sitting here trying to make a verdict on the future. But I am saying that we've seen this time and time and time again, and it has not played out. yet. This team, like, I think people are so focused, and I know I spent a lot of time talking about the last few minutes, but people are so focused on that, they're missing because they're like, oh, well, we're going to lose games. Yes, we're going to lose games, but look how we lost that game. Yes, I think that something could have been done in the last minute, but we lost that game well before. Because once we blew that lead, they stopped playing. Like, that is up to the coach, especially this kind of coach. That's what I hope Charles Lee was going to do, was like, get these guys ready. But that's something where you got to keep the morale up, you got to keep their heads high, and you got to let them keep playing. But to allow us to blow that lead, and then it got worse. It didn't, like, some people were telling me, like, well, did you expect us to keep the lead the whole time? No, but look what the Nets did. They never let it get really out of hand, even momentum-wise. Like, the Hornets would go up 4 or 5, even 6. But it never felt like the Nets weren't just going to come back. And maybe that could be me being a Hornets fan, knowing how these games go. I don't know. But it just never felt as though the Nets were really out of it. There was times where we were up and it felt like we were out of it just because of how the team was playing. And it's very reminiscent of the James Borrego teams, where the team is so talented that we're always going to be in games. The team is so talented that we're going to win some games. Some that we shouldn't even win. Some that, you know, it's like, okay, we should have won that game. But it's never to the point where it just feels like we have it in hand. And that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it comes down to basketball. It doesn't matter. New front office, new coach, new team, new system, new everything. I get that. That's why I didn't think this team would be a playoff team. But in game, individual games, I expected the basketball to be better. And that's how we lost the game tonight. The game really wasn't lost because LaMelo Ball got benched. I don't care. You could say that, and I know it may sound like I'm saying that, but it wasn't lost because of that. It was lost well before then, and it was basketball reasons. Basketball reasons is why we lost this game. Jalen, like, I'm thinking about Jalen Wilson because I covered the draft sometimes, and I was really a fan of his game, especially coming out of Kansas in the second round. Thought that was a great pickup for them. Like, that is someone where you shouldn't allow him to go off like that. Dorian Finney-Smith, he was almost basically elite from the 3-point line last night. Like I said, Cam Johnson's going to do Cam Johnson thing, but in a game where they don't have Cam Thomas, they don't have Nick Claxton, and Ben Simmons kind of played like pseudo 5. Noah Clowney he lines up at 5 sometimes, but he's not really a true 5. We don't have a true 5 either, so this is like the perfect matchup for it. Okay, if Nick Claxton was in the game and we lost, even without Cam Thomas, it would have been like, okay, they probably dominated the boards. Nick Claxton's a very good shot block. Like, there's just reasons to that. There's no reason. This team matched up with us perfectly, but we had the better players and we lost. It does that dead bench and stuff. It's outrageous and it doesn't make any sense, but the game was lost before then. And that is all I was saying, is that we're going to lose games, but we should not lose games in this way to this team. People were saying, well, we're missing people too. We're missing Mark Williams and Nick Richards. Nick Richards, who's a backup 5. Mark Williams, who I think is a good player, but I really can't be too confident because he doesn't play. They're missing Cam Thomas, who can drop 40 at the drop of a hat. They're missing Nick Claxton, who was, I don't remember where he finished, but he was up there at the end of last season as a defensive player of the year caliber player. Like, I think he even received some votes. That's who they were missing. We're missing 2 guys. Nick Richards, some people don't even like. And you can say the same thing for Mark Williams, but also he doesn't play. So it's like, this is the healthiest we've been. So I know you can say, oh, well, wait till the team's fully healthy, but like, the people it's not like we're waiting on LaMelo anymore at this point in time. It's not like we're waiting on Miles. It's not like we're waiting on Brandon. We're waiting on 2 guys who, one is a backup, and the other one who really hasn't been able to prove himself. He's had some excellent games. I believe last year Mark Williams had a 20-20 game. It's still like that. It's not the same for the Nets in this particular game. It's literally not the same. So, yes, of course, I would like to see the team fully healthy. Who wouldn't? But it is literally not the same. It's apples to oranges in that scenario. So, that I don't even know. I'm not saying that Charles Lee isn't the guy. Like I said, I'm not willing to make that after 14 games. But I can say I understand why people can already be like, you know what, I'm out on this guy. I don't like, because some people are like that. Some people just want to make a decision quickly because they want the team to be good quickly, and I understand that. I'm just not one of them. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not the guy after 14 games. That, to me, that's a little extra. That's too much. I think that he does need time. However, the things that happened in this particular game aren't rookie head coach mistakes. Because at the end of the day, he is a two-time champion as an assistant coach, so he knows what it takes to win. So yes, he's a first-time head coach, but there's some things that he does that you would assume he knows better. And benching like LaMelo in that scenario is one of them. And honestly, I wouldn't even be mad if you replace Cody Martin with Seth Curry. It gives you a shot to make a shot. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I keep saying LaMelo, but he's really the only other person on the roster off the top of my head that wasn't on the floor that could really make something happen in that space. And Seth Curry, to an extent, could have as well. Tajon Salon, and this is irrelevant. I'm not saying he definitely shouldn't have been in that lineup, but he had an excellent first half, and then he just didn't play. Musa Diabate, we've been talking about lately, like, he's been excellent. And in a night where the other opposing team doesn't have a center, you could punish them by playing him a lot of minutes and him getting a lot of boards. Didn't really see that too much. So it's just like stuff like that. It's just like, it's so simple, but why aren't we doing it? And I really would like to know why. I'm not going to be out on a guy through 14 games. Those rotation things, that to me, that is rookie head coach. That is, all right, I'm trying to figure out who to use when. I get that. But there are some things where at the end of the day, it is strictly basketball. How it's being executed in your job as a head coach. And he did not do those things last night. So, yes, saying he should be fired after 14 games, I think is a little much. However, he's not giving us a reason to believe that he can be right now. The faith I have is strictly just because this is how basketball goes. It just takes time for coaches, players, teams to just gel together and start to see some type of success. But I am saying that these are games these are games where we should win. If we want to be the team that they are preaching we will be, these are games you got to win, and it's almost at any cost. This is like, it's not a real make or break game, but this is like a make or break game in terms of these are the ones you got to win. I don't care how you win it. You could have been down 20 ourselves and came back and it's like, oh, we shouldn't have been down 20, but we won. Like, these are games like you walk away from, it's like we have to absolutely win this, no matter what. They were missing 2 key players, and we had our best players for the most part. I mean, we really did. So those are games you walk away winning. The game against the Bucks, yes, they didn't have Dame, but it's like they still have Giannis. If we lost that game, fine. Cavs game we really shouldn't win. Like, when we were in those Boston games, but once again, we lost those games, I was like, I'm cool with it. I'm happy with that. Happy with those performances. Games like tonight, well, last night, where you play the Nets, you cannot lose those games. You simply just cannot. And against the Sixers, you cannot lose those games. I'm trying to think of a bunch of other games, but I can't. Those are just the 2 in my mind right now. But we are giving games away, and that's the part where, to me, it becomes unacceptable. You cannot give games away. I understand that, like, all this stuff we're talking about, new team, y'all heard me preach that in the preseason. I was saying that I do not believe this is a playoff team. It has nothing to do with the talent on the roster and how weak the East is, even though the East is even weaker than I thought. It has everything to do with it all being so new. And that was, I don't think we're going to win games against the Bucks. I don't think we're going to win games against a healthy Sixers team. I don't think we're going to win games against, I thought we could win games against the Cavs, but the Cavs are a lot better than I thought. The Hawks is a game that I think we probably should have won. Like, there's game like the Pistons is another game we should win. Games against, but we're not going to win games against like these elite teams like the Knicks, the Lakers, Denver. I'm just throwing teams out there. Suns. Like, those are games where I want to be competitive, but if we lose, we lose. And every now and then it may be like a 20-point loss or whatnot, especially West Coast traveling. These games, I did not. We should win, or if we lose, it's not blowing a 17-point lead. It's them, like, when they were hit it, like, if we never blew that lead and we had comfortable control of the game, and they were just hitting those crazy shots, and we just ended up losing, and let's say, like I said, I'll even take Seth Curry in that moment, then I would have been okay with it. Because it's like, okay, they were just hitting shots, and you're not going to win every game. It's how we lost. I don't think that's the part people are really grasping, is how we are losing some of these games. It just doesn't make any sense, and it truly is unacceptable, even for a team that is going through a rebuild, even for a team that's not that good, as some people say. Like, I didn't think this team was that great. But these are games, once again, almost any game you have a 17-point lead, you should be able to win. And once again, it's not saying you should hold the lead the entire game, but it should feel like you never really lost grasp of the game. Because some people are even telling me, well, the Celtics blow leads. The Celtics just won a championship. Of course, as Jason Tatum said, they're going to come to Charlotte and be like, oh, it's Charlotte. Because they can turn it on. We've seen, they almost lost against the Raptors. Was it at home? I almost want to say it was at home. They almost lost to the Raptors at home. And then the Cavs come to town, and they basically blow them out until the Cavs just made it a game towards the end. You can do that when you're a championship winning team. You can do it. Everybody else, especially a team like us, you have to get these type of wins. But anyway, that does it. Sorry for the long. I know I may have said the same stuff over and over again, but I'm just frustrated, and it really just blows my mind how some people were just saying that, like, oh, well, it's just a loss, and it's like, no, it's not just a loss. I'm not overreacting and saying the future's washed. I'm not overreacting saying that the team should be blown up, even though if stuff like this occurs next year, that's when we need to have a conversation. But I am saying that, like, game to game, these are games we got to win. Games against the Pistons coming up, those are games we got to win if we want to be respectable. I'm not asking the Hornets to beat these elite teams, but the teams around us, if we want to go to the next, because think about it, just beating the teams around us still may only have us as a 9 or 10 seed. So there's maybe 2 to 3 more levels above that to get to a championship level, maybe even 4, to get to a championship level team. I'm just asking to beat the people at the bottom of the barrel, or keep it close to the bottom of the barrel, or not just embarrassingly lose to the teams at the bottom of the barrel. If you could be the best of the worst, this is the best way to put it. If I thought walking out of the season we would be the best of the worst, and I would have been completely fine with that, because then that gives me hope for next year that we'll go into this next level. Okay, we're in the middle of the pack team, and then so on and so forth. But if we're losing games like this to the bottom of the barrel, that is where it becomes embarrassing, and it's happened time and time again. So they need to figure it out. But anyway, once again, sorry for the rant. I am serious about trying other stuff, other ventures. Like I said, this channel will still remain. I still will post on here, but I enjoy YouTube. I love doing it, and I want to find something else. I'm trying to decide if I want to switch over to the NFL and talk about football. I don't know. We'll see. Or if I want to continue talking about basketball as a whole, or do I want to talk about it's just levels to it. So if there's specific content you want to see from me, then go ahead and let me know down in the comment section below. But once again, thank you so much for watching the video, and leave anything you got to say, leave it down in the comments. I want to hear it all. Like, even if you disagree, like, you know, I never shy away from people disagreeing. It's all, like, we all want the team to win, so I'm never going to get mad at someone for having a different opinion from me. But yeah, I was just frustrated because it's just, this shouldn't happen at this stage.